If you get nothing else from the next 15 minutes, get this. The word tomorrow is the single greatest scam your own mind has ever run on you, and it's running right now while you're watching this instead of doing the thing you already know you should be doing. The scam, explained. Here's how the con works, step by step, so you can spot it the next time it happens, and it will happen today, probably within the hour. You think of something you should do, something a little hard, a little uncomfortable, a little scary. Before the thought even finishes forming, your brain slides an offer across the table. Do it tomorrow instead. And you take it, because the offer feels generous. It feels like mercy. It even feels responsible, like you're being smart, pacing yourself, not overextending. But look closer at what actually just happened. You didn't decide to do the thing later. You decided not to do it today, and dressed that decision up in a costume so it wouldn't feel like what it actually was. Tomorrow isn't a plan. It's a disguise for not now. And it's such a good disguise that you fall for it constantly, sometimes multiple times in a single day. A man who kept a very expensive tab open, I once knew a guy. Sharp, capable, the kind of person everyone assumed would make something big happen eventually, who spent almost a decade running a tab with himself. Every few months he'd talk about the business he was going to start. Real excitement in his voice. Real plans. And every single time, right at the edge of actually starting, the same sentence would show up. I just need to get through this next stretch first, then I'll really dive in. 10 years later, the business still didn't exist. Not because he lacked the skill, not because the market wasn't there. He simply spent a decade making the same trade, over and over, handing today to a version of tomorrow that was never going to arrive to collect it. If you'd added up every next stretch he was waiting to get through, they would have covered more time than it actually would have taken to build the thing 3 separate times over. He wasn't lying to anyone else. He believed himself completely, every single time. That's what makes this so dangerous. You don't have to be dishonest to fall for it. You just have to be human and mildly uncomfortable and offered an easy way out that doesn't feel like giving up. Why your brain never offers you this deal on the easy stuff. Notice something strange. You never hear yourself say, I'll scroll my phone tomorrow, or I'll watch this video tomorrow. Nobody postpones the easy, comfortable, low-effort stuff. The offer of tomorrow only ever shows up standing next to something that would actually cost you something today. Effort, discomfort, risk, vulnerability. That's not a coincidence. That's the whole mechanism working exactly as designed. Your brain isn't randomly generous with delays. It's precisely targeted, offering the exit only at the exact moment resistance shows up, which means the presence of the word tomorrow in your own head is actually useful information. It's a flashing sign pointing directly at the one thing that matters most right now. The thing you're most tempted to postpone is very often the thing most worth doing today. What you're actually spending till then. Try this uncomfortable exercise. Think of the one thing you've been telling yourself you'll get to eventually. For months, maybe years. Now count, honestly, how many separate days you've had that word cross your mind about that exact thing. Not vaguely, specifically. Every morning you thought about it and let the thought pass. If you're like most people, that number is in the hundreds, maybe higher. Each one of those was a full day, a full 24 hours you were alive and capable, and it was fully within your power to act. And instead it got handed off to a future version of you who, it turns out, never actually shows up to collect the debt. He's not real. He's a character your brain invented so the current version of you wouldn't have to feel the weight of the decision being made right now today by the only version of you that has ever existed anywhere, the version of you that's still waiting with. Here's something worth sitting with for a second. Somewhere back in your life, there's a younger version of you who pictured today. Not vaguely, specifically, he or she imagined what this exact stretch of life would look like, and built a kind of hope around it. That version of you is not watching from some faraway place. That version of you was you, and the only thing standing between what he pictured and what you're actually living is a long chain of days that got handed off to tomorrow instead of lived through today. That's not meant to guilt you. It's meant to make the stakes real, because it's easy to treat tomorrow as a harmless, victimless choice. It isn't. Every time you make that trade, you're quietly voting against the exact life your younger self was hoping you'd build. He doesn't get a say anymore. You're the only one left in the room who can still cast that vote, and you only get to cast it today. Why waiting for motivation is the same trap wearing a different hat. A lot of people think their problem is that they haven't found the motivation yet, and once they do, they'll finally act. That's just tomorrow wearing a disguise. Once I feel motivated and tomorrow are doing the exact same job, both of them let you off the hook today, while still letting you feel like you're technically planning to follow through. Motivation was never going to show up first. It shows up as a side effect of already being in motion, almost every single time, which means waiting for it before you start is like waiting for the smoke before you light the match. The order is backwards, and your brain knows it's backwards, and it uses that backwards order against you constantly, because not yet always feels more reasonable than not ever, even when the two produce exactly the same result. The move that breaks the pattern down. Here's the actual fix, and it's not complicated, even though it's not easy. The instant you notice the word tomorrow forming, about anything big or small, that's your signal. Not to argue with it, not to negotiate, to move, physically, immediately, toward whatever the smallest honest version of the task is. Don't wait to feel ready. Readiness is just another disguise tomorrow wears sometimes. I'll do it once I feel ready is functionally identical to I'll do it tomorrow, just dressed in nicer clothes. You don't need to feel ready. You need to already be moving by the time the feeling shows up, because the feeling was never going to arrive first. It shows up after the action, almost every time, never before. Keep score, and let the score talk you out of it next time. Start something simple tonight. Every time you catch the tomorrow offer mid-sentence, write it down. Just the date and what it was about. Don't judge yourself for it. Just log it. In a month, read the list back. What you'll find isn't a random scattering of one-off delays. You'll find the same handful of excuses, recycled, wearing slightly different outfits depending on the day of the week. And once you've seen your own pattern laid out in black and white, it gets a lot harder to fall for it the next time it shows up, because you already know exactly what it's going to say before it says it. The days that don't feel like decisions, most people picture their biggest regrets as the result of one dramatic moment, a big choice, made under pressure, that went the wrong way. That's rarely how it actually happens. Almost nobody wakes up and decides in one clear moment to let their life drift. It happens in thousands of tiny, forgettable decisions that never feel like decisions at all, because each one is so small on its own. Skipping the workout today doesn't feel like anything. Putting off the phone call today doesn't feel like anything. Individually, none of these moments register as significant, which is exactly why they're so easy to keep making. Nobody sits down and consciously chooses to waste a decade. They just say tomorrow, enough times, in small enough doses, that the decade goes by without ever announcing itself. By the time it's visible, it's already spent. This is why waiting for a big, obvious moment of resolve to fix everything is its own kind of trap. The big moment isn't coming. The fix has to happen in the small, invisible moments, the ones that don't feel like they matter, right up until you add enough of them together and realize they were the whole story the entire time. The quiet version of Winning Nobody makes videos about what it actually feels like to beat this, because it doesn't look like much. You don't wake up one day with the voice gone. It still offers you tomorrow. You just start recognizing the offer on sight, the way you'd recognize a familiar scam email the second it lands in your inbox. No anger, no internal debate, just a quiet, not this time, and you keep moving. That's it. That's the whole transformation. Not a personality change. Not some permanent cure. Just getting fast enough at spotting the con that it stops working on you as often as it used to. What to do the second this ends times. Don't close this thinking about what you'll change tomorrow. That sentence is exactly the trap this entire video has been describing. Instead, before you do anything else, before the next video, before you put your phone down, before you go make coffee, do the smallest real version of the thing you've been putting off. One sentence, one rep, one message sent. Tomorrow was never coming for you. It never comes for anyone. There's only today, showing up over and over, wearing tomorrow's name every single time you fall for it. Stop falling for it. Not tomorrow, right now. If this hits something in you, don't let it end here. That's just another version of tomorrow in disguise. Hit subscribe right now before you close this tab so the next one finds you when you need it. Drop a comment with the one thing you're going to stop postponing today. Writing it down in public is its own kind of proof you can't quietly walk back later. And if you know somebody who's been saying tomorrow about the same thing for way too long, send them this video right now. Not tomorrow, now.